Hi, I'm doing Paul McWhorter's Pico W lessons and I'm up to lesson number 63 when Paul wanted us to play around with classes and kind of see what we could do. Now, I haven't looked anything up for this, so this is why it might be a bit random what I'm doing. It's just what I could remember about it because I didn't want to cheat and Google everything. Now, this is roughly equivalent to Paul's program. He's just got the class rect with the init and the three methods. Now, in the dunder, and that's what you call it, or people who know call it, the double underscore init, they call dunder init because it's easier to say. Now, I don't like having any function calls in the init, and we will see why later. And what is that line doing? I do not know. I will get rid of that line. Right, so what it does, it's the same as Paul's, it's just getting the length and the width of the rectangle and then setting up a rectangle object and doing various things. Now, before I go any further, I don't like that. I do not like lowercase l being used as a variable because it looks like a 1. But anyway, we will run this program and see what happens. Right, what is the length? We'll stick with the good old 3 and 4, and the width. Right. Here we have my rect 3 by 4 area from the variable, which is stored in my rect.area is 12. Area from method from rect, my rect.rec area, open close bracket, same. Perimeter 14, that's right, both the same. Diagonals, both the same, regardless of whether you're getting it straight from the method or from the variable itself. Then go on to this one, which is twice. So area is 6 times 8, which is 48. Both of them are correct. The perimeter is 14 times 2, yep, 28 is correct, and diagonal is, I'm not going to do the maths, but it's 10. Right, so that all seems to be working very nicely. We will stop there. Then we will do the next bit. Whoops, we'll do the next bit. We're changing my rect width and length on the fly. So we will run that. What is the length? 3, 4. Now the first bits are from before, which are okay. Now this is after I've changed it on the fly. So it's 11 by 12 on the side and 10 on the other. Area from the variable 12, which is wrong. Area from the method 110, which is right, but it isn't a float. But that's easily fixed, we'll do that. And perimeter from the variable, that's wrong. Perimeter from the method is correct. 21, yeah, that's correct, but again it isn't a float. The diagonal from the variable is wrong, and the diagonal from the method, well, your guess is as good as mine. I assume that's right. So that actually came out as a float because of course you were doing maths to it, so it had to come out as a float. So right, in order to, we'll fix the easy thing first. We'll just put float, and that would be a better way to do it anyway. Whoops, you don't spell float like that. Float. And that's actually a better way of doing it, because in this program, wherever it is, you're getting the input and making it a float, but there's no guarantee that that would be the case as demonstrated by that. I wouldn't notice a problem if I put that 10 like that, but that's by the by. Right, so I've mended that one. I still can't spell blinking float. Float. And that one, FL. Hurrah, floats. I spelled it right. Right. Now we'll run that again. What's the length? 3, 4. Have a look at it again. First 2 bits are okay. Right, my rect 11 and 10. That is now a float. That is now a float. But the area, the perimeter, and the diagonal from variables are wrong. Therefore, the moral of the story is, if you're going to update things on the fly, never use your calculated, variable names. You want to do them. If there's a possibility they could have changed, you do not do them from the variable. In fact, you needn't actually have a variable. You could just get it from that that method. But it's nice to actually have the variable, so you need to make sure that that doesn't happen. And the way to make sure it doesn't happen is you don't do that. No, 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 no. Now, there's one other thing you can do, or shouldn't do. We go down here, and what I'm doing here is I actually have access to my rect.perimeter, so I've changed it. We'll try run. Oops, I didn't get rid of those. I didn't get rid of that. Right, that's gone. Try running it. What's the length? 3, 4. Right. Now here we've got the first 2 that are okay, those 2 that aren't okay. Oh no, just one that isn't okay. Now here I've actually changed the perimeter, and that means that the perimeter from the variable, even though it was wrong before. Oh no, I haven't changed those things. No, I have. Those are that is using the original values, so everything ought to be all right. So that's right from the variable and method, and the diagonal is right. But you can actually overwrite the myrect2.perimeter, which isn't great. So you really want to avoid doing that. So I don't think I've got anything more to say about that one. No, we'll go on to my version. My version, which is this one. Right, as before, I've got the class rectangle, and you can actually put class attributes up above the dunder init, which is quite useful. And the reason why it's useful is if you have a subclass, not that we're going on to subclasses yet, but if you have a subclass, then if you put shape equals rectangle in the init, you'd have to overwrite the init every time, because the obvious one is shape equals square, which we'll go on to. And that means even though that the init could be exactly the same, you would still have to overwrite it. And another thing, I've got the three methods there, and I've put float just in case we don't know what's coming in. And this, the dunder string method, that means whatever you return there is output. If say you go print rectangle, well, print rect, you print your object, that would be what comes out. So very simple. I'm just going rect, and I'm doing 3, 4, and I'm just printing the area, the perimeter, and the diagonal. So we'll try running that. Right, no for loop, can't be bothered with inputting it. So there we have rectangle 3 by 4, area of 12, perimeter of 14, and diagonal of 5. And note that they are integers because I called them integers. If I'll just put there. If you make them a float, they'll appear to be a float. They'll appear as a float, not appear to be. That means it isn't working. Right. So you could still, in this program, you can still modify the perimeter or the diagonal. So that isn't great. Now, so there's a way to get around this. First of all, if you, on here, you add a line to this, you go I can't spell property, T. Now what that does is it makes that, it returns it as a property rather than a function or method. And we'll see how that works in a minute. And as it's actually returning the value, you can actually put, instead of that line, I will just put return that and get rid of that, and we'll see what happens there. You don't go return equals. Right, we'll see what happens there. Float object isn't callable. No, because that's a property. So what you do is you can then, that is being treated, that is actually like a variable. So you can go delete those two and now see what happens. There. So just by putting that at property, and I mean that is immaterial. I've just changed that return float from the area equals and return the area, which means that you don't have the problem that somebody could come along and actually say rect dot area equals blah blah and overwrite it. So that's got rid of that problem. So we'll see what happens. We'll copy that, and we'll do the same thing with that. Get rid of that and just put return. You just spell return right. Get rid of that line. So that is exactly the same, and we'll go down to the next one and put make that property, whoops, and again we'll I'm just leaving this in so I can see what I was doing before. Return that and get rid of that, and get rid of those, get rid of that, and try running it there. Now that has solved all the problems. You cannot now overwrite the calculated values of area, perimeter and diagonal, and it takes care of itself if you change I haven't tried changing them on the fly, have I? Or have I? No. Right, I will copy that lot, copy, paste. So now I will go rect, I haven't actually tried this, width equals 5 rect dot length equals 12, and fingers crossed. Haven't tried this. Try running that. Ooh, we shouldn't try this. Right. So the first one is fine. Then I've modified that rectangle, and the area is 5 by 12, which is 60, which works. The perimeter is 5 plus 12, 17 doubled, yup, and the diagonal, it's a 5, 12, 13 triangle. Right, so that works wonderfully. Now the other thing I wanted to do is to make the special case of a rectangle is when you have the width and the height equal. Now this is a square. So if I take this code here and put it up, put it there. Oh, I forgot to mention, when you print rect, it all came out nicely. I'll show, we'll look at that next time. Right, so this is a child class of the rectangle class called square. Now square, everything works the same apart from the width and the length are the same size. Yeah, the same length. So then if you're doing a square, you just give it the length of the side, and then in the init, which actually overwrites that init, it inherits all of those things, but anything you put down here will either be added to it, or it will replace it if it was already there. So nothing more to be said for that really, apart from we need the code. Copy that, put that up. So we are getting a square 5 by 5 and getting all the information and hoping it works. And please note, I'm not working out, I haven't got anything in the child, the square class. It's all coming from there. So we'll try and run that. Float object isn't callable. Good reason for that. I didn't change it. So get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that. That was because that code was from when I was running it before I'd changed that in at property blah 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 blah. So we'll try that. Right. The first bit is still okay. The second bit, when I've changed it, is still okay. Now square is 5 by 5. Area 25. Yup. Perimeter 5 plus 5 is 10 times 2 is 20, and the diagonal 25 plus 25 is 50, and the square root of 50 is about 7. Yep, that works perfectly. Is there anything else to say? No, I don't think so. But don't go away. I would just stop this, and then we'll go on to something more interesting. Right. So there are very few things you can actually do with rectangles. So I thought I would create a cat class. Obviously, it is the obvious thing to choose. So we've just got the class cat, and I've got species is Felis catus up. As before, you can have class attributes up there, and then the dunder init is just asking for the name of the cat, the age, the breed, and I also set up here because he's going to have his inoculations, I set up an empty array for that. And then pretty simple, we've got the dunder string, which will just say the cat's name is a tabby aged 15 or whatever, and then speak. If you ask him to speak, he will say what you ask him to say. And then his inoculations, if you inoculate him, you add the details of the jab and the date to your array, and then here it is, you're just printing out the array. So it is all very simple, this one. So you've got Frankie, and his name is Frankie, he's 10, and he's a tabby, and when he speaks he's going to say meow. Then you print out what inoculations he's had, then you inoculate him and print them out, give him another jab, print them out. And then we've got Jasper. Unfortunately I don't have Jasper anymore, but Jasper is 8 and he's ginger and he can speak French. So we'll just run that, and here we go. Frankie is a tabby, aged 10. Frankie says meow. I put in the species there, so he's a Felis catus. That's the empty array of inoculations. We inoculated him for FIV, then inoculated him again, the flu jab, and then Jasper is ginger, aged 8. Jasper says bonjour, and I just put ginger there. So that is all very, very simple. So we'll go on to my next program, and this is creating a subclass of Bengal from the cat class. So we've got all that the same, everything is the same, apart from no, I haven't changed that. No, I haven't changed that yet. Everything's the same. And inoculations. Right, here is the subclass of Bengal, which says Bengal inherits from cat. And I've put the subspecies in there of Bengal. And I've actually overwritten the speak. The speak there is just saying, okay, he's saying meow. But here, I've overridden for Bengal, I've overwritten, whatever, the greeting. So if I don't put in a greeting here, it says I'm a subspecies, which is a Bengal. Otherwise, it will say, if you put greeting in there like that, meow, it will say meow. And this bit here, return super speak greeting, is saying that it's actually overriding that one. Whoops, overriding that one. So we'll see how that works. Right, Frankie is a Bengal, so you print Frankie, and the string print thing comes from the cat class. The inoculations comes from, oh yes, I am inoculating. Everything comes from, is inherited from the cat class, apart from this print Frankie speak with nothing. He ought to say I'm a Bengal. So we'll try running that. Right. That's right, that's right. I didn't give him anything to say, so he says I'm a Bengal. When I did say, give him something to say, he says meow. That's working. Now, Jasper is a cat. He isn't a Bengal. So I'm just printing out Jasper, which uses the dunder string, and then Jasper says bonjour. Right, that's all the same as before. Jasper is ginger, age thingy. That comes from the dunder string. Jasper says bonjour comes from, if you go up to cat, that. Now, go down here. Do I need, no, I don't actually need that. I do not need those two lines. Right, I will copy this line. Right, so when I did that for Frankie, he said I'm a Bengal. But as Jasper is a cat, we will see what happens. Ugh! It wanted something. That it did not like that. And the reason why it didn't like that is, if you look, Jasper speak, no parameters. You look up here, he is a cat. And in the speak, there is no default value. So the default value is just the subclass of Bengal, which is why that went wrong. Which is what I expected it to. Take that out again. Oh, we've already done the inoculations, but just to show that the inoculations are in the inoculations are in the cat class, and they're just inherited for the Bengal. So Frankie is a Bengal, and hopefully their inoculations will work. So we'll try that. Yeah, everything works wonderfully. Next program, which I can't remember what it was. Yes, this is getting a bit more complicated. I've actually created a class of pet, and it's got the init and the description of it when you print the pet object, and that I will explain later. The self dot blah 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 class is whatever. So you can feed him. If you feed your animal, you add to the number of meals, and you can print out the fact that he's being fed. Then, as I did, I just put that property in for later. That's being, if he's hungry, you check to see if he's had less than 3 meals, he'll be hungry, otherwise he won't be hungry. I haven't done anything for that. And the speak is as before, only it has in the last program, but it has a default saying hello. And then I've created some subclasses of dog and just the pet type and the species, and I've overwritten, which is why I've used the super there, so that if you don't say what he's saying, he says woof. And the class guinea pig, and he goes wee wee wee, or my guinea pigs used to. And then there's the cat class again, and I've taken out all the inoculation things, and the default is meow. And then I've got the subclass of cat being Bengal again, and I've just put in, I'm extending, my cursor stopped working then, I'm extending the speak again, so that is extending that, which was extending, overriding that. So here we go. I'm creating a cat Frankie, Sheba is a Bengal, and Sasha's my Alsatian, which is a brindle, and then Oscar was my guinea pig. So it's probably easiest if we look at them one by one. And we'll run that. The cat Frankie is Tabby. Frankie says meow. Frankie says bonjour. So that is the default for a cat. There. The default for the cat is meow. Then when I didn't put in anything, when I did put something in, he said bonjour. Now that works fine. Right, Sheba is a Bengal. We'll try that. The cat Sheba is Spotty. Sheba says I'm a Bengal because that's a default thing from there. I'm a subspecies, Bengal. And hi, I like mice. That works okay. So we will take that out. Right, try it with Sasha. Sasha the dog. The dog Sasha is brindle, yup. Oh, and of course the dog Sasha is brindle comes from that in the class pet. There. There. And Sasha speak with nothing is the default. Woof, yup. And then when you actually say what Sasha says is bow wow wow. So that works okay. Right. Oscar the guinea pig. Right. That is just all the same. And then I've got this thing, while Oscar is hungry, which is not in the guinea pig, it's in the pet, which is hungry. Deaf is hungry if they've had less than 3 meals, he's hungry. So down here I'm saying, if he's hungry, feed him. And print, he's been fed, and then you go on until he's had enough to eat, and then Oscar isn't hungry. And the feed here is just adding on to the number of meals. So we will try running that. Right, it says, the guinea pig Oscar is cue-balled. Oscar says, wait, wait, wait. Oscar says, hola, because says hola there. Right, Oscar is being fed. Oscar has been fed once, which comes from there. Oscar has been fed the number of times there. Then because it's still less than 3, it's going round there, round there, round there. Oscar's been fed 3 times, comes out there, and then it says Oscar isn't hungry, which is all fine and dandy. And as I showed before, if you want, you can change that. I hope this will work. If I take out that so that it's now a property, come down here, is hungry. I should be able to, I'll copy that line. Delete, delete. Will this work? Yes, yes. So that looks nicer, that you go while Oscar is hungry as opposed to while Oscar is hungry, dun dun. So that is about all I've got to say. It was just a few things that you can do. Now, I didn't get into that bit. The pet type is none for the class of pet, and pet type dog, pet type cat, and that's why I put that in, because I was going to be doing something else. But what you can put in here, I will just leave that as it was. Copy, paste, paste. Because I didn't go into anything more complicated, I could have just put, is that right? I think that would still work, because that was saying don't use that one, go down to that one. Will it work? The guinea pig Oscar is keyboard. Yes, it still works. So don't worry about that. I shouldn't have put it in, but as I did put it in, I just wanted to show that it did work like that. So that's my program, and as I said, it is all a bit confusing because it's come straight from my head.